Thank you so much for tuning in. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Adil and I've been a realtor with Royal LePage for the past 12 years. In recent weeks and months, I've had some media interviews, and as a result of the media interviews, I've been getting a lot of questions from clients, from friends, and from the general public about the real estate market. And so I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity for me to create a platform where we can remove the noise from the market and the media headlines, and really get to the core of the questions and concerns people have about our real estate market here in Vancouver. So I thought we'd launch a platform called Ask Adil, an opportunity for me to speak to all of you about what's happening out there, to field some great questions, and just to create a venue where we can have open, evidence-based dialogue. Over the last 10 days, I had an awesome response, so thank you all so much for commenting, for sharing, and just for your general feedback. It's been very supportive. So thanks so much. My goal with Ask Adil is to create an environment where I can educate people out there about the market, and then allow them to make informed decisions about what they want to do with the market after they've gotten that information. So for today, we're going to do a Q&A session. I've received about 6-7 questions, which I'm going to address for future episodes and future blogs. What I'm going to do is bring in experts from the industry to speak about various different topics. On other episodes, we're going to go to really great development sites and see what's new and up and coming in our city. So I'm going to jump right into it. And our first question is from Ismail Lila. He asks, are we likely going to see an increase or a decrease in prices in the spring of next year compared to where they are today for both the attached and detached market? So a really good question. I'm going to start with a quick snapshot of what's happened in our market. So in the last 12 months, we saw a really solid run up in our market. I should say the first 6 months of our market in 2016 was extremely robust for the detached market. And when we got the announcement of the foreign buyer tax, it really shook the market's confidence. And when confidence is shaken, it really creates a level of uncertainty. So what do people do when they're uncertain? They generally do nothing. They generally move to the sidelines and they wait for the dust to settle before getting back out there and making a big decision like buying a home. And that's kind of where we're at now. In the detached market, there's certainly more sellers than buyers. And Economics 101 teaches us that whenever there's more sellers than buyers in a market, prices go up. And when the pendulum shifts, when there's more sellers than buyers, prices generally retract, and we're experiencing that in the detached market. So into 2017, if some of these listings don't sell, or if we don't see some of these listings come off the market due to unsuccessful sales, we're probably going to see further price reductions. And in the attached market, in most areas under 1 million, we're in seller's market territory. So I would say the attached market, which is condos and townhouses, is really underpinning our general market. And so things are quite strong. So unless we see more supply come to market, we're likely going to see that trend continue into 2017. So our next question, we actually had 2 similar questions about renting versus owning. And so Salma and Fatima both asked, in today's market, is it better to rent or purchase a property? And what are the long-term benefits for renting versus buying? So that's a really good question. I would say it truly depends on your personal circumstance. Number one, do you have the down payment to purchase? What are your monthly outflows like? And do you have the appetite to get into the market? So there are a few reasons why people decide to rent. Number one, they're renting. While they're renting, they're saving money for their down payment, and the minimum down payment for a first-time buyer is 5%. So while they're renting, they're saving money. Number two is some people decide to rent because they're leaving mom and dad's place and they want to get a sense of what the area is like. So instead of committing and jumping into the deep end and buying, they're going to rent for a year, figure out if it's going to be a good fit for them before they buy. And then the third scenario that I run into is often people come into town and they're here for a year for work, and they're in transition. So they're not sure if they're going to be here for the longer term. So instead of committing and buying, they're just going to rent until they figure out what their longer term outlook looks like. So that's why they generally rent. Now, when people look at buying versus renting, they need to strongly look at what the rental market's doing. And right now, the rental prices are extremely high. So there's a strong case for people to look at buying versus renting. If you have the down payment, I think it's really important to do an exercise where you look over a 5-year period of time and you look at the costs of renting. For example, if you want to buy a 1-bedroom in Yaletown, look at the cost of renting that. Now it's between $2,000 and $2,400 a month to rent a 1-bedroom in Yaletown, versus buying it. It could be anywhere from $500,000 to $550,000 and up. But look at those costs, and then closely analyze what's going to be the best fit for you. I think what also gives people peace of mind is that when you own versus renting, you have the assurance that your landlord's not going to call you 8 to 12 months from now saying that he's decided to sell his home. So it gives you safety and security to know that you're going to be in the home for a longer period of time, or until you decide to sell. You're also paying your own mortgage versus your landlord's mortgage and building equity that way. And also you can participate in any potential upside in the market. There's a really cool graph that we look at. Over the last 40 years, if you look at the prices, there's generally an upward trend. If you look at the prices from 1977 to even where they are now, there's generally been an uptrend in prices. So no matter where there's a peak or a trough, meaning a top or a bottom, every following peak in the market is higher than the previous. Every peak is higher than the previous. So that should give you a certain degree of confidence that if you buy now with a long-term horizon, that prices will, the likelihood of prices rising is very high. And also, it's important to take advantage of the fact that in Canada, your principal residence is the number one, is the best tax shelter out there. So if you bought today your Yaletown condo for $500,000 and you sold it 10 years from now and it's worth, say $600,000, that $100,000 gain is completely exempt from any taxes. So that's something that people should look into and potentially look at taking advantage of. Got a question here from Nilofer Mirza. She asks, hello Adil, do you think condo prices in Coquitlam will go up in 2017? So Nilofer, I can tell you what condo prices are doing now. And the condo market in Coquitlam, especially North Coquitlam, near Coquitlam Center, and West Coquitlam, near the Evergreen Line and the border of Coquitlam and Burnaby, is very strong, and in fact in seller's market territory. So under $600,000, you have a 50% absorption rate, meaning 1 out of every 2 condos coming to market has been selling. So you're in very high seller's market territory. The only way that trend would stop is if you see a lot of supply come to market, or you see some sort of shock to our marketplace. My sense is that probably continues into the first quarter of next year. Another great question from Laura, who is a old classmate of mine from SFU. Thanks, Laura, for the question. As a hopeful investor, I like the security of downtown Vancouver, but the prices have become too rich. Thoughts on other neighborhoods that might have similar demand? And also a similar question from Qasim. He asks, with prices going up so much over the past few years, are there good options under $500,000? First off, I love the fact that people are taking an open-minded approach to other options in Metro Vancouver. That's the reality of our market. If you want to get in, you have to be open-minded and open to different municipalities. So if you look at what's happening east of Vancouver, there's a lot of great things that are happening. My belief is municipalities that embrace official community plans that offer more density will probably be the winners in the long term. So if you look at anything along the SkyTrain lines, take note of all these new hubs that are being created along SkyTrain stops, such as Metrotown, or Commercial and Broadway, or in Brentwood Town Center, and even further east into Lougheed. Tremendous infrastructure projects are going in. You look at the Evergreen Line, and they've invested $1.4 billion into that infrastructure project. That should not go unnoticed. Why are they investing so much money further east? That's because that's going to be likely going to be the trend of the future. That's where development's going to take place. And I always tell people, follow the big money. There's developers out there that have invested over $100 million on securing land parcels. They do in-depth market research and analysis on what the trend of the future is going to be. And when you have them positioning themselves for the future, people need to take note and perhaps follow the big money would be a really great way to go. Our last question is the new stress test from Farin. Is the new stress test, how does that work, and what is the minimum down payment? So in October, the federal government announced stress test measures on first-time buyers or people putting less than 20% down on a mortgage. I'm actually supportive of that new initiative. What it does, it protects the Canadian consumer over overextending themselves. And what it does, it requires them to get pre-approved at a higher rate versus the rate that's actually being offered. So it protects them, and the minimum down payment for first-time buyers is 5%. So that's a wrap on questions. As promised, for everyone who supported, shared, liked, shared and commented using the hashtag #AskAdil, there was going to be a $100 gift card. So I'll pull the name out. So the winner of the $100 gift card is Nabi Surhabi. So congrats, and Nabi, thanks so much for sharing the post. And just as a thank you to everyone, I'm going to pull 2 names and 2 gift cards for $100 to a restaurant or retailer of your choice. Laura Thomas. Laura, congrats. So $200 gift cards. So that's a wrap for today's post. Thank you sincerely. I'm very grateful for all the support to date. I'm very excited about bringing value to the audience and about bringing some new and exciting ways to educate people about the market and to keep them informed so they can make the right decisions. Thanks, and until next time.